Sure. Okay, so we're starting. So this is our, okay, I'm really sorry. I don't know what God was doing there, but my internet just went boom, out of existence. If this happens again, we'll need someone else, but my phone's right here and I shouldn't have any problems. All right, so we have Dina and Ziva and Simcha, and I think we lost someone else. And somebody else that we lost. Oh, you remember?
Are you purposely recording the meeting?
I record because then people sometimes I can't make it like to join.
Okay.
She became the host. How did she become? Okay. No, I don't know. And Malky came. Malky, why is nobody here? This is the most gorgeous weather.
I honestly don't know.
You honestly don't know. Okay. Where I'm like, wow, this is so nice. This is like beautiful being here. Okay, so what I think we should do is make maybe like a WhatsApp group so that we could, but Malky, you do send, right? You send to all your people.
Yeah, there is a WhatsApp group.
There is a WhatsApp group. Okay. There is a WhatsApp group for this class. I'm just not on it. So, maybe send it to me, or invite me on.
Okay.
And then, or give me your number, and then I'll just send you the Zoom link, and you could put it on.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have my number?
No, but I'll get it.
Okay, great. Okay. And we have someone else then. Anat. Okay, great. All right, so let's get started. So it's a little late, so it'll be a little bit of an abridged class, but everything is exactly what Hashem wants. So this is how Hashem wanted it this week. And for all of those that are indoors, we are having a wonderful time being outside. I'm even taking off my little light coat because it's so beautiful. So I'm enjoying Shira's lovely porch. Outside, great fresh air. It's awesome. All right. So again, we're continuing our cholent, our smorgasbord of lots of different ideas that have no correlation to each other, but all of them have something to do with this great Shidduch experience. So a question that sometimes gets raised actually halachically is the question is if both mothers have the same name, because it's written in some sources that if both mothers have the same name, then you can't have the shidduch. Yeah. So, so what one does at that point is if you're in that situation and this is don't nix the shidduch, one of the mothers should add a name. That's what you do at that point. If both mothers, let's say both mothers are Chana, common Jewish name, lovely traditional Jewish name. They're both Chana. Okay, I can't go out with him. His mom and my mom have the same name. No, you could just, one of the mothers has to agree, if this shidduch works out, to add a name. And that is how we resolve that issue. It's just a little technical thing. And something else someone have a question? Okay, if anyone has a question, because I see a bunch of blank screens, feel free to just start talking. People that are here, feel free to just start talking. Yes. You're going out with someone and they keep on looking at other people and not you. And they're not making eye contact with you. So I would say if this is your first time going out with the person, then I would give the person the benefit of the doubt and say maybe they're nervous. If it was already the second time and they keep on like losing focus from you to the other person, they're talking, but they're sort of looking at the other people as they're talking to you. I would think it's strange. I mean, either it's a sign that he's looking at other women, And if he's already looking at other women when you're going out, I would say that's a great sign from God to say, to stop it now. I would feel that. The nervousness to me would only be valid on the first time. Meaning if on the first time he looks away, yeah, he could be uncomfortable, he could be shy, he could be awkward. I mean, it's a really strange artificial thing, this whole shidduch system. It's a great system, it's the best system, it's the only one that could really work, and it's still artificial and strange. So I would forgive people a lot of things the first time. I would attribute a lot. I don't know. No, to me, if you see him looking at other women when he's going out with you, but especially if he's looking at other women, I would take it as God's sign. I would say God's kindness. You do not want to marry someone that as you're walking with them, they start looking. No, don't go there. Yes, I would definitely say that. But again, if it was the first time and didn't happen the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time, I would say, you know, he was nervous, he was awkward, he was jumpy, he was fidgety, he was in like what they call the yellow space, you know, and I would just forgive it. When you're going out and you do feel this is the right one, it's very, very important to actually almost like formally commit to a life based on Judaism, based on serving God. And you could say, well, I mean, what are we talking about this for? We're two religious people. But even to religious people, it's really important to have that conversation. It's really important to discuss your religious values. It's really important to agree on your religious values. It's really important to commit to them almost like formally, or I'm not saying almost, really formally, in a way of solidifying and creating as a foundation of your home, bringing God in. Now, in terms of the people on Zoom, because thank God we do have quite a number of people on Zoom now, and it might feel uncomfortable to ask questions, or you don't want your voice recorded. You could always write a question on a chat. You could write the question to everyone if you don't mind. You could write the question to me. When you write the question on a chat, there's options of who to send it to. The default is everyone, or you could just select any person. So you could select your turn, and then I will see your question, but nobody else will. So you can feel free to ask your questions and not feel that anyone out there for posterity is going to know your questions. Okay, another non-related point. Please never, ever, ever say about any issue, we'll work it out later. That is a key fatal line that so many people say. Oh, we're going to work it out later. Like everything is so good, this one thing, or these two things, or these three things. It's not such a big deal. We'll work it out later. Like everything's so right. Never do that to yourself. There's probably a lot of people on this group that can attest to that. And there's a lot of people in this world that can attest to that, because you don't just like work it out later. If it's a problem, it's a problem. Someone have a question or comment on that? There's some noise in the background. Okay.
No, I'm laughing.
Okay. You're laughing, maybe you're relating. I could just say there's too many people that I speak to later.
Yep.
I speak to too many other people later. And that's why I know you never say that line. Because and then of course what flies back in your face is, well, you knew this. I was honest. I said it before. So that is why. And what do you respond to that? Yeah, I thought we were going to work it out later. So don't go there. Absolutely. Okay, so what's being asked here, I just don't know if everyone can hear on Zoom. I'm not sure how well my computer's picking up people behind it, is, well, but I mean, nobody's perfect, so everyone's going to have some issues. So there goes that concept of that mashpia for going out. Someone you can talk to, and this is something for people that are new to this group, though I'm sure for those that have been here, you've heard this from me many, many, many times. It's very important before you go out that you select a woman who's experienced, wiser, older, not has a great marriage for the past 2 years, but like someone who has wisdom and insight and experience in this area. that she's going to be someone you're going to consult with. Sometimes you need someone, not your parents, because your parents are totally subjective, which could be good or could be bad. But you need someone, and something like that is something I would, if an issue gets raised and you're like, well, I'm not really comfortable with this, but listen, maybe it's like everyone has issues, so he has this. I mean, whatever, I'm not perfect either. And you're not sure if it should fall in that category of I'm not perfect either, or if it should fall in the category of we must deal with this, then that'd be a great road to go. Speaking to that figure, that woman that you selected ideally beforehand, to say, you know, how significant is this issue? Sometimes how significant is this issue really depends on you. Like, something not an issue, but let's say, I'm just going to give an example. Let's say when you're going out with him, you find out that he, I don't know, I'll make up anything here, that he has some credit card debt. Okay. You didn't know about it beforehand. I mean, it wasn't on your list of questions, and it came out. He was honest. It came out in the conversation. Maybe he tried a credit card, it didn't work, and he explained to you why. Now that's something. Now you could say, does this indicate a problem? Is this something I want resolved before we get married? Do I want to know exactly how much? Do I say this is normal? Speak to someone. You know, speak to someone, lay it out on the table, and see what they tell you. You know, and sometimes things are subjective, and a person could say, well, lots of people have this, and maybe you don't want to deal with this issue, or maybe you'll say, oh, this is an issue I can deal with this. I got plenty of other issues that would be more significant that I wouldn't want to deal with. Dina, is your hand raised?
Yes, it actually is. Thanks for noticing. I was wondering if there's any like specific things that need to be spoken about. Before you had mentioned like, you know, not to say like, oh, we'll figure it out later. Are there any specific things to like that to not wait for later for?
Well, what I meant then was more like if an issue comes up, like if you realize that, I don't know, he smokes. One of us is psychic. You realize he smokes. I personally can't stand smoking. Like, to me, that, like, it would make me absolutely nauseous. And I don't want to be worried about secondhand smoke. I just can't stand it. I can't tolerate it. I have an emotional response to it. But if I would say everything else is so good, whatever, you know, I'll deal with it later. If I know this issue I really can't live with, I can't deal with it later. You have to put it on the table now. That's what I meant. What you're asking, I think, is more, are there general issues you want to bring up? Yes, I mean, and as we've discussed before, you definitely would want, by the time you're talking about real issues, to discuss all the big, you know, priority value points in life, your perspective on raising children, on what type of chinuch you want to give your children, what type of Jewish education, your perspective on the role of the husband and the wife in a family and their relationship. You definitely want to hear about his parents' marriage, and you want to share about yours and their relationship to their children and how you felt about it. I mean, those are big things that in every time you're going out, you're going to want to touch on those ideas. How, you know, money is a big thing. I mean, all the points, if you remember, I don't know if you were that class when we went through all the like common reasons for divorce.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. So you were there. So all of those points you want to one way or another. I mean, it doesn't have to be an official list, but yeah, all those are things we want to touch on to see, where does he stand? Where do I stand? Are we on the same place? Or if we're not on the same place, can we come to the same place? Or if we can't come to the same place, is it okay? Meaning, sometimes you might say, hey, I'm a spender. He's a saver, but neither of us are extreme. So I can handle that type of spending, or I don't remember which one I said was which, doesn't make a difference. I can handle the way he saves, he can handle the way I spend. Okay, so we're different and we can handle each other. That's great. But please discuss that in specific detail, because I definitely speak to couples that one's a spender, one's a saver, and it's, you know, grounds for tremendous marital stress. So even something like that, you really would want to put on the table and discuss it. Again, you do not have to marry your mirror. I don't even know if you'd want to. It's totally fine if you are always 5 minutes. My husband is always 5 minutes early to an event. You know, and I'm always, you know, fashionably late. I think that means 10 minutes before it's over. and that's okay. I'll never go with him anywhere, and he'll never go with me anywhere because of that. But that's okay. We have 2 cars, so we can handle it. That's okay. We don't have to. I mean, his way's probably better. I'm just being honest about mine. So it's okay.
Wait.
You don't have to be exactly the same. But if it's going to drive you crazy, and you are the type that thinks you're supposed to go everywhere together, that could be a very significant issue. Maya, did you have a question?
I have 2 questions. First off, is there actually a list of things that people divorce over that we could get sent to us? Because I'm curious. If there's-
I did a class on it. Yeah, one of my classes was on it. If you okay, do you have her email?
If anyone has notes or anything, I can send you my
Maya,
email.
if you give me your email, or if you want to give it to Aviva, and
I can
I'll
send it.
email you that class. I can email
Great,
you the
that'd be
audio from it. I can email you my notes from it. Absolutely. What was question 2?
And then my other question was, some of the things that you're talking about that, oh, okay, so he smokes and I really don't like that, but I'm going to push it off. Isn't that kind of talking the same thing about a red flag, or a deal breaker? Your deal breaker is you're not going to date someone who smokes. So if you date a deal breaker, it doesn't make sense. Is it kind of like the in-between? It's not quite a deal breaker. You're not going to say no because he smokes, but it's really problematic for you?
Sorry, I'm missing the question. Is the question like that
You
example, in my
spoke about-
specific example of smoking?
Yes.
Are you saying
So-
would I view that as a deal breaker in a marriage?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, if you really feel smoking is you can't marry someone, then shouldn't that already be considered one of your deal breakers that you're not going to consider past that? Or are you speaking about a time when someone has something that really bothers them? Isn't a deal breaker. It's not that they're going to stop dating the person because they have that, but it's a really serious issue, one that could then kind of progress and not get resolved and then maybe lead to divorce later on. I'm trying to figure out where you're putting that as
So
an issue.
I would say it's a good question, but it's very hard to give a general answer because it depends on a lot of factors. Like, let's take smoking. I personally, I'm just saying very personally, I can't stand smoke. I can't. I almost have like an emotional response to it. Now, when I was going out with my husband a few, generations ago, I don't think I knew he smoked. I don't think it ever came up. I mean, he smoked, meaning like he would finish a pack of cigarettes over about 6 to 9 months. Like maybe, 1 cigarette every month or so, very slowly. Fine. I had no clue. And, I think when we got married, I somehow realized he did. And, I said to him at that point, I have this like aversion to smoke. So please just never in my house. Never in my house. Fine, no big deal. He's never in my house. I never saw it again. At a certain point, I don't know why, I think I was inspired to give him a gift. And this is all I'm saying within like the first year of marriage. And I said to him, you know what? I thought it over. If you need to smoke in the house, you can. That was an incredibly generous gift of me. Now, again, we're putting it in perspective that, maybe he smoked a cigarette once every, 3-4 weeks. I never saw him smoking the gift, but I gave him the gift. And then probably, again, some point within the first year, he just stopped completely. And that was the end of his habit. So it was a very minor habit. I was very strongly opposed to it. I never put my foot down beyond initially saying not in my house. And then even when I generously gave him the gift, I don't think he ever actually took advantage of it. But if it came up, it would actually come up because probably if someone smokes a lot when they're going out, they might smoke. or if they're taking a walk with you, they might take out a cigarette. And then like, oh my gosh, it would come up. Now, this is obviously something he's doing a lot because he's going out with me. To me, at that point, again, I'm giving my own very personal feelings about smoking. It would be something that I would say, oh, wow, how often do you smoke? How many cigarettes do you go through a day? And if it sounded like a lot, I would say something at that point. Probably, again, if I thought he was amazing, I wouldn't say, I don't want to marry you, but I would probably have said, I really can't tolerate smoke. It's not even that I'm scared of secondhand smoke. It's really an emotional aversion to it. I really can't tolerate smoke. So I want you to know that in my house, I would never allow anyone to smoke. And if you're okay with that, and we would move on. Now, again, smoking is something that you could say something like that. And you're assuming you're dealing with a respectful person that would honor that word. But if it was something more, let's go back to money. Okay, let's go back to what I said before about the savers versus the spenders. So right now I'm somewhat working with a couple that are both extreme. I don't believe either's unhealthy. I've thought about this a lot. I don't think either's unhealthy. It's just such a crazy match. Because one's an extreme healthy but extreme spender, and one's a healthy but extreme saver. Lo and behold, enormous stress over that. So if something like that came out when they were going out, and if I was consulted at that point, not, you know, several children later, it might be something that'd say, I don't know if this is a good idea. I'm not telling you to break it off, but I want you to understand it's going to be a constant source of stress and friction unless whoever I'm talking to, if you just give it up. If you say, I need to save, it drives me crazy when someone wastes money, but I'm knowing that he wastes money and I'm just accepting that. And I'm just going to give that up. Truly, completely, absolutely. And know that you can do that. But if you can't do that, and if it's going to drive you crazy every single time, even if you keep your mouth shut, but it's still going to drive you crazy every single time, I don't think it's a good idea. It might sound like a minor issue, but it's going to come up every day of your life. I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm trying to answer your very good question, which is a little hard to answer so specifically, but by giving you these examples, I hope you see the direction I'm going. Some things are deal breakers. Some things are not. Some things potentially are deal breakers, but maybe you could figure out a way that they don't have to be. Someone sent me a question on the chat. I know Dina's hand is raised and someone sent me a question on the chat and I want to see that again. Sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like all those things. Absolutely. You always have to. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. You're absolutely right about that. If smoking could be addictive, and absolutely. Okay. Let me just respond to someone's question. Someone raised a question. You're talking about marriages, your parents' marriage, his parents' marriage. You're talking about your parents' marriage because you want him to talk about his parents' marriage. Is it okay if you say you don't like your parents' marriage? And isn't that a scary thought for the other person and might make him feel like, whoa, I don't want to go get involved in this girl. She comes from a family where, no, not at all. Not at all. First of all, you should understand in general, women think about this a lot more than men. You know? Men are a little clueless. They have to a little be guided in understanding this. But no, I think, again, and it's not saying, it's not saying that my parents had a bad marriage. Maybe the best way to couch it in that situation is to say, you know, my parents have a really good relationship, but there's some things about their marriage I wouldn't want duplicated in mine. So you're sort of putting around that issue that there's a lot of good in theirs, but this is ways I would want it different. If that's a true statement. Now, if your parents didn't have a good marriage, can you still be a healthy, sane, non-dysfunctional person who could make a wonderful wife? Yes, of course. It's like everything in life. You know, let's say a person's parents are divorced. What does that mean? Does that mean that they have no good models, they're going to have a bad marriage? Not at all. It could mean they're going to have a much better marriage because they're going to be much more focused on working on it, and they value it and they put attention into it, and they never want it to become something that's going to fade or crumble on any level. So it doesn't mean you are not going to be a good wife because what you saw is not what you want to continue. Okay, so I was asked not to as much spend time on the questions. Maybe we should save them for the end. I mean, the end is pretty soon. So maybe if you have questions, you could still chat them up, and then I'll just look at them at the end. But if you feel it's something very relevant to what I'm saying, feel free to say, please answer now, because I want to understand what I'm saying. Okay, another issue. What if you are on a different page than your parents? Again, assuming you're, I don't know, 19 to 20 something, and it's official shidduch system, so they're looking into the people, and you know that you're on a very different page than them. Which happens. So if it's the general situation, meaning in general, you know what you're interested is not what they're looking for. Maybe they're looking for someone far more religious than you want to marry. Maybe they're looking for someone that has to be the doctor, lawyer, accountant model, and you don't want that. You want to marry, I don't know, a plumber or electrician, or you don't want that mold. You don't like it. So if in general, you know what your parents are looking for is not what you want, it's really important to have a very frank and honest discussion with them. Respectful, but very honest, very straight. Let me lay on the table what I am. Maybe you didn't realize, maybe I was even in a sense hiding it from you because I know it's not your expectations and I didn't want you to, have pain if you don't like where I'm at. But if you're talking about getting married, you want to make sure they understand what you're looking for, because otherwise they're going to waste a lot of people's times and efforts. Theirs, the people you're going to go out with, yours. That's if it's a general, they are looking for something that is not at all what I want. Another situation that sometimes comes up is there's a specific, what's called hang up they have. I'll just give you an example of a hang up. They do not want you to marry a boy who's younger than you. Hang up. Or they don't want to marry a boy who's over a certain number of years older than you. They're very firm on this point. I would say if it's just a general perspective of theirs, let it be. Like, it's not worth going there. There's plenty of boys out there. Emir Hashem, God will send you one that fits into that box, and it's okay. And it's not such a big deal, unless, of course, you be someone very specific that you want. Again, I'm just giving like a general, I just try to give a example of these type of krizos, these type of things that people hang on to. And sometimes it becomes a lot of friction between the child and the parents. And it's just like, if it's one specific issue, give your parents their space and trust God. Okay, so my second point was, what if you have a very specific boy in mind who does not fit their box? The problem with that is if you speak to your parents, let's say they don't want you marrying a man over a certain number of years of age, which makes a lot of sense, and I agree with them. But you already met him and you like him. Now the problem is, if you go to your parents to speak about him, they're going to assume, oh, you met him, you like him, you're speaking from emotion, you're completely wrong, and forget it. We know, we're your parents, we know this is a bad idea, and you're just emotionally entangled, and forget it. So that's not usually the best way to do it. So if you really feel that this person is right for you, and you've met him, and you know for whatever reason your parents are not going to want him, whatever thing he has that's part of their no list, the best thing is to get someone else involved. Go back to that mashpia figure. Because you should not directly come to your parents with it, because your parents are going to say, we're your parents, we know best. You know, you're young and being foolish here. Trust us. So, and sometimes parents are right. So that's why it's good to get like a mashpia figure involved to explain the situation. Now, she might agree with your parents, but if she agrees with you or sees there's room for it, then maybe she could suggest someone that could speak to the parents about this issue. When you're doing research, when research is being done on a person, okay, now your parents thought he was great and they're looking into him and something comes up. Well, in most traditional situations, again, assuming you're, the young girl, whatever, the parents do the research. If you feel, and we've discussed this in previous classes, if you feel that your parents are not good at research, as some people feel very strongly about their parents, it's totally fine to ask someone else to do the research for you, as long as your parents are okay with this. Obviously, if you're over a certain age, it's not usually the issue. But if you're younger, but you still feel your parents would not do a good job, you could sort of respectfully say to your parents, oh, so-and-so is really experienced. She's married off so many children. And I mentioned it to her and she said she'd be happy to do it for me. If your parents are normal, they'll be ecstatic, because who wants to do research? So that's fine. Now, sometimes, okay, I was told I'm going in and out. Sorry, maybe my internet connection is not so good here. My internet connection is unstable.
You're back now.
I'm back?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, I guess for next time, I'll probably use Shira straight from her house because that will probably be the strongest one. I mean, my phone should be fine, but if it's not, Shira will set that up for next time so you shouldn't have this issue. So what I was saying was the same way your parents, like, they don't want somebody under a certain age or don't want someone over a certain age or don't want someone who's from a different background, or I mean, your parents have a whole list of things they don't want, some of which could be very valid. Let's say during the process of research, an issue comes up. And your parents are like, no, we nixed because of that. And you're like, whoa, it doesn't bother me. And they're like, no, it should bother you. No, that's a big problem. We don't want you to go out with someone like this, with whatever the issue is. Ideally, at that point, it's a discussion piece. Meaning, like, let's say, I don't know, they found out there's a number of children in the family that have learning disabilities. You know? So they're like, it's in the genes. Why should you start with that? Could take a lot of time and energy. Why do you need to go in that direction for? And you'll be like, that's so small. Oh my gosh, you know how many other problems people deal with? It doesn't bother me at all. He sounds like a great guy. So that's something to like discuss with them. If they're not open to hearing it from you, again, try to bring in someone else that would be, to try to open up their minds that in a very respectful way that like, this is okay. You know, some things are not okay. Obviously, as Firma said before, no one's perfect. And this for you is okay. I think we'll touch on one other idea and then I'll look at some questions. Okay. Now someone asked the question, what if the shadchan has the wrong idea of what you're looking for? So if the shadchan has the wrong idea of what you're looking for, same thing. You need to have again, because you see the names she's suggesting are just not at all on your page. So either switch to a different shadchan, or if you feel you want this man or woman still involved because they're energetic, they care about you, they care about your family, they're going to make something happen, then have that same honest conversation with her or him. It's very good to personally meet the shadchan because you don't want it to be just another name on their computer database. You want to be someone they know and they've connected to and they're impressed by, and they'll work much harder for you. So it's very good to have an honest conversation with the shadchan and in a very polite way say, I see the names you're suggesting. It's not really what I'm looking for. Can we meet and maybe I can tell you more what I'm looking for? If they say, no, it's fine, then they're probably not the shadchan you're looking for. But if they take the time to meet with you, it's a very good idea. You were saying because of COVID? Yeah. So do it over Zoom. Same way we meet with lots of people nowadays. Zoom or Google Meets or whatever your comfort space is. You can meet definitely with a shadchan. Definitely with a shadchan. You can do that over Zoom. Previously, we had spoken about masculine and feminine personalities. And when we spoke then, we were speaking more from the perspective of the woman, you. If you have a masculine personality, Then we spent a long time on that. What I didn't touch on then is what if he does? What if you're going out with someone and you see he has a very feminine personality? So again, and he has a feminine personality and you have a masculine personality and he's attracted to you and he has advantages that you like. How does that play out? So again, in the world of theory, ideally, you want someone balanced. We all want someone balanced. We also would like to be balanced, which means you would want someone that both has some of the masculine strength, has some of the feminine strength. That would be ideal if you can, write out the recipe for your husband. If you can't, and right, exactly. If you can't, then you sort of have to ask yourself, well, what do I need and what does he have? And maybe I'm okay if he doesn't have some of the masculine strengths because I don't really need that. And I appreciate his sensitivity. I appreciate his kindness. I appreciate the way he treats me. I appreciate all of those, what I'm calling feminine strengths. And as such, I'm good with it. Great. Or maybe you'd say, I really like him. I think he's going to make a wonderful husband, an amazing father, but I don't think I can respect him. I think I need someone who's going to be able to stand up to me. I think I need someone who's going to be a go-getter because I'm not going to respect him if he's not. Then that will be a case like of the question that was asked before. I mean, I don't like to use a word deal breaker, but that would be the case I've heard that you say, he's so wonderful, but he's not mine. And think of a great friend of yours that would be so happy. Bottom line, it has to be what's right for you. Yes, you can go out with someone and he is amazing, but he's not right for you. But let's say it's like you love all of his feminine strengths. They're really good for you. You're really okay with this. And you go on with the shidduch. And then as you're married, suddenly you become really henpicking or really overly controlling. So you have to sort of be aware of that from the beginning, meaning when you are going out and you are thinking, yeah, I'm fine with him. Say, okay, but am I going to be fine with him? Am I going to treat him respectfully? It's not just, I like the way he treats me. I appreciate his deeper commitment to Yiddishkeit, deeper spirituality, deeper sensitivity, deeper emotionalism. I love all of that. Great. Are you going to be able to treat him respectfully? Are you going to be able to treat him appropriately? Because if you love all that, but you're going to end up being this henpecking wife or controlling wife, it's not the way to go.
What do you mean by henpecking?
What I mean is sometimes you see in situations where a woman is like more aggressive in personality, a little more dominant and controlling in personality, and they're married to a man who's less, and they become like nitpicking every detail. They're like in control. They're like, micromanaging their husband and their children in a way that's very, very, very diminishing for the man. So if you know you have that tendency, you either have to change or you can't marry such a personality because you're going to end up making him very, very, very small. And that's not good for you and not good for him and not good for your kids. If you're the nitpicking type and he's what I'm calling feminine, I mean, I use the terms feminine, masculine. You can use any terms for them, what I'm trying to say. But if he's that softer, more emotional, warmer person, and you're the like getting at him and criticizing this and picking him on that and wanting him to change this, you're going to end up making him very, very, very small. You could, but he won't let you. So it's not going to happen as simply. But if he would let you and you're going to have a free run and you're going to treat him like you treat your children, you shouldn't treat your children that way either. But if you're going to treat him and you're going to treat your children that way, it's going to be really bad for him. It's going to be really bad for you. It's going to be really bad for your marriage. And it's going to be really bad for your kids. In such a situation, like if a stronger woman is married to a man that, I'm going to use the term, appears weaker in the children's eyes, a really wise woman does whatever she can to build up her husband in her children's eyes. That shows a lot of wisdom on your part. You only benefit if you build up your husband in your children's eyes. If you give him excessive respect and you show to your children all that excessive respect for your husband, they're going to more likely look at him that way. And if they do, to everyone's advantage, to your advantage, to his advantage, to the kid's advantage. And conversely, if you treat him sometimes sort of dismissively, they will also treat him dismissively. Loss to him, loss to you, and loss to the kids. None of these things I'm saying is a reason not to get married. It's just something you have to really think about and ask yourself, what am I going to be like as a wife? I'm attracted to him. I think he's going to be a wonderful father and husband. But are you going to be the right wife for him? And the right wife in a way that's good for your children? That's what I'm trying to raise here. No, it's never good to be a nitpicker. No, that was not a carte blanche. Yes, you could be a nitpicker. No, never be a nitpicker. But if he's a masculine man, he probably won't let you get away with it too much. So maybe you'll stop. Okay, it is 9:30. I do know we try to make a commitment not to go overtime because then people have a tendency to not want to come because they don't want to be on later. Did anyone have any questions they wanted to raise from what I was saying? Because I think I dealt with anything I saw in the chat. Okay, I don't see anything else here. So thank you so much for joining
Thank you so much.
our experience.
you.
Oh, sorry, one question, yes. So the question here was asked is if you're a single mom with kids and then you're going out with someone who's single, never married before, obviously doesn't have children, and his parents think that's a really bad idea for him. There's nothing you are going to do about it. It's not your issue. It's his issue. Meaning if he's going out with you, he either decided he's going out with you despite his parents' disapproval, or he got his parents to agree that it was a good idea, depending on his age and relationship to his parents. So it's not your problem, it's his problem. So you don't have to ever deal with that. You don't ever have to go in that direction. And yes, if you're divorced and he's never been married, many parents would say to their child, why bother? If you have children and he's divorced without children or never been married, many parents will say, why bother? And that's true, and that's reality, and we don't worry over it. We don't worry over any of those things. The same way you could say, oh, they're not going to like me because my parents are Baal Tshuva, or because one of my parents is a convert, or because I'm Sephardic, or because I'm Ashkenazic, or because I'm heavy, or because, you know, like, we don't go there. We trust God. We know he's the ultimate shadchan. We know he has someone for me that's exactly right for me. And guess what? If there's all these people that aren't going to even look at you because of these issues, great. You just saved yourself a lot of time from going out with people that obviously are not your bashert. So don't worry about it. Totally, totally, totally not your issue. And if ultimately you are supposed to marry them, guess what? They won't know. They won't know. They won't realize. They'll misunderstand. All these things will happen. God runs the world. We don't worry about these things. Exactly. Exactly. We don't worry about it. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. And Emir Hashem next week, Malki, I guess, is going to connect with me. I will send the Zoom link. And yeah. And the people that here that aren't on Malki's group will try to join with that group. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm glad
Thank you so
it worked
much.
out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was trying. Someone just sent me a Zoom, a chat, but I don't see it. That's weird. Simcha, you just sent me a chat, and for some reason I saw it pop up, and then I can't find it. Can you email? Can you WhatsApp it to me?
I did WhatsApp it to you.
Oh, you do WhatsApp it to me. Oh, that's funny. It
See it.
came on my screen.
WhatsApped asking.
It's
You
fine.
know.
It's fine. We're still recording. It came on my screen like a chat, and I'm like, I don't see the chat. That's really strange. Okay, maybe it was a WhatsApp that popped up on my screen as a WhatsApp. Wonderful. Okay, yeah, no problem. I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you
joining.
so much.
Sure. Thank you for
That's great.
joining. Okay. Be well.
Thanks. Be well.